Welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, the Women's Reservation Bill has finally seen the light of day. It's been passed in the Lok Sabha and will, in all probability, be also be passed in the Rajya Sabha. So this is a first. We've seen various attempts with the bill, tinkering with the bill, trying to get it passed. The UPA got it passed through the Rajya Sabha, but got stalled in the Lok Sabha. But if anyone has the mandate to pass this bill, it is undoubtedly the Modi government, which makes me wonder, because the bill that has come is not a bill that's going to be implemented in a hurry. There are too many ifs and buts in it. It's dependent on a census, is dependent on a delimitation process, is dependent on a whole lot of other politics. We know that the delimitation process, which is scheduled for 26, is already running into rough weather. We saw signs of it during the debate on the Women's Reservations Bill also, where Kanimoi, an MP from South, said that there is a huge disparity between the North and the South. So there's going to be a long haul before the bill actually comes to see the light of day. So then what was the hurry? Why did we have to have a special session, right? For a bill that's going to, not even be implemented in the 24 elections, but it's 26 is going to be waiting for an event that's going to take place in 2026 and then be implemented in the 2029 elections. So then why have this special session in September? What is the government planning? And as I said earlier, since the Modi government has the mandate, why didn't it just go ahead and implement the bill? And have it passed in time for 24. What was the delay? What was the politics in it? Today, that's what I want to focus, because no one is going to be going against the bill. Everybody is pro reservations, but what is happening over here? That's something I want to discuss with the panel today. Joining me on the show is Aditi Phadnis, political editor, Business Standard. We have Javed Ansari. He is a political commentator and former editor. Neerja Chaudhary, author of How Prime Ministers Decide and a columnist with Indian Express. And Badri Narayan, author and political analyst and social scientist commentator. Javed, what is happening in your point of view? Why the delay? Why bring this form of the bill?
Look, to get to the real truth, we will have to wait for the next edition of Neerja Chaudhary's book on how prime ministers decide, when she chooses to write on how Narendra Modi decided, why Narendra Modi decided to bring this bill when he did. To my mind, there are two reasons. One, he needed an election issue. Women, like other vote bank, also constitute a big vote bank now. They are a huge factor. And two, he wanted an issue that would divide the opposition parties, the India Alliance. As we all know, the Congress, the TMC are for the bill, wholeheartedly for the bill. The others, the SP, the BSP, the RJD, JDU, they physically tried to stop the passage of this bill in 2009 when the Manmohan Singh government introduced this. So Prime Minister Modi was gambling on the fact that this would divide the issue. He didn't factor in the fact that the Congress would change tack and also support the demand for OBC. So Mrs. Gandhi, in a short but very effective speech yesterday, mentioned this, demand that it be implemented immediately. So that appears to have trumped them. The second, that this bill could have been implemented and should have been implemented right away. Instead of that midnight drama of demonetization, why didn't the Prime Minister take a similar decision with regard to this bill? Other things could wait. Why not this? Obviously, this bill was not thought through because, at the end of the day, everything is an event. And because 75 years had to be encashed, so to underline 75 years, you need to do something really significant. He didn't think this through. They didn't think through the fact that there's no census. The 21 census has not even started. And then the delimitation process is delayed. And now, if you believe some experts, yesterday Manish Tiwari tweeted from the Constitution saying that now the next census will only start in 26. So if that is true, and if it starts in 26, it will finish in 29. By the time the next election will be there, then you wait for the Delimitation Commission to complete its exercise. We saw the kind of rough weather it's likely to run in, and it's a fair demand on the part of the southern states, because those states who have followed family planning will suffer, and the ones who have gained, like the state that I come from, the number of seats will probably go up to 126. And they will be rewarded by the 126 seats for not adhering to the family control principle. So therefore, there are lots of issues to be. They ought to have thought all this through. They didn't. like most politicians, it's the immediate reward that is important. This, to my mind, was brought in with an eye on the 2024 polls. How much of it will he be able to encash? He would have had that advantage if they had implemented it right away. Now, 2029, like John Maynard Keynes says, in the end, all of us will be dead. So who knows, 29, 31 or 34, how many of us will be around? I don't know.
Javed makes a good point, Aditi. If the Prime Minister wanted to, he did demonetization at this, in the middle of the night. So he had the will and the, mandate. So why delay it? And then why do all this drama just for a bill that may come, as Javed says, who knows when it will come?
Well, Priya, we know that theoretically all parties are supporting the bill except AIMIM. But the reality is that internally, in all parties, there is a lot of disquiet about who will continue to retain their seat, who will stand to lose their seat. The reservation, whenever it kicks in, will naturally affect the sitting MPs, and nobody knows who will be affected by that. So I think the Prime Minister wanted a long period for this reality to sink in. And basically people to come to terms with this change in power structure. The fact is that, we may feel very euphoric, and Javed was telling us that many anchors burst into tears about when the news came that there's going to be reservation, which is all well and good. But the fact is that existing power structures, the existing reins of power are still in the hands of men. So, and they will not want to let it go so easily. So frankly, and that's one part of it. The second part of it is the effective period for which this bill will be valid will, I suspect, only be 5 years, maybe even less. So I'm really not sure, how long it will be valid, whether the new house, whenever the bill becomes valid, whether the new house will decide that to extend it for another 5 years or 10 years or whatever, just like in the case of the SC/ST issue.
Nija, so this again, my question which I asked everybody is, do you feel that the government of the BJP has gained anything from this bill, this form of the bill that has been brought in? Will it have any impact on the coming elections?
Look, Priya, when we first heard that the bill was, the cabinet was meeting that evening and would clear the women's reservation bill, there was so much excitement that finally, after 27 years, even though the bill is flawed, the bill as it existed earlier was flawed. But still, that one-third reservation would finally come to women who are represented, only 14.6% women are there in the Lok Sabha, 12% in the Rajya Sabha. When in 1952, the number was 5%. So they haven't even gone up 3 times in that many 75 years. So, and for a democracy like ours, it's a shame, actually. Pakistan 20, Bangladesh 21. You just look for 140 countries doing better than us in terms of women's representation. So one thought, Modi hai, mumkin hai, was finally going to happen. But when you saw the fine print of it, linking it to a census and the delimitation exercise would, it's kicking the can down the road, certainly for 5 years, maybe for more. Now, it's like saying, I'll give you Jan Dhan accounts, but only in 2029. Or I'll give you gas cylinders at subsidized rate, but only in 2029. So the initial euphoria, that excitement that was there, and obviously they have played this card to consolidate the support of women voters behind the BJP. Mr. Modi has had the support of women as a constituency, and they wanted to consolidate it very clearly. And women are emerging as a clear vote bank, unlike, say, 10 years ago. I think whether they will actually achieve that by just, making a promise, even though the first step towards the promise is being taken. Even if it takes 5 years, 10 years, it won't take more than 10 years, hopefully. At least it's not going to take another 27 years. To that extent, we can feel satisfied. But it is not quite what was expected, certainly. And the reason, very quickly, Priya, if I can take a minute, I know you want to
please
on. The reason is it is not to do with patriarchal attitudes or anti-women attitudes by parliamentarians. They have passed many pro-women legislation. It is to do that the resistance comes from every single party, no matter what their official view. From the men, essentially, within these parties, of course, there are people like Uma Bharti, the OBC card. But the fact is, they're fearful that 1/3 of the constituencies will go in this reserved category, and they don't know whose constituency is going to be. It could be a Baramati, it could be, constituencies that have been nurtured for years and years and years.
Even Varanasi.
Varanasi, it could be Varanasi, absolutely. And therefore, they are fearful of this happening to their constituency and have resisted it. And I think some kind of now whether the delimitation commission will actually add 1/3 additional constituencies which can be reserved for women. Whether that exercise is being thought of, I don't know. But nothing has been said so far about that.
Okay, no, all fair points over here, and Badi Narayan ji, OBC, a lot of UN cry has been made. Maybe that is what they were thinking. This will divide the India alliance. कि अगर OBC कोटा include ना करें तो कैसे support करेंगे? पर OBC कोटा क्यों नहीं include हुआ है? पहले भी नहीं हुआ था.
Priya, I think first of all, your this question about timing. This timing is going to favor BJP in this coming election. Timing of this bill is very important. It matters a lot. Either it's planned or it's coincidence, I can't say. Second thing is, it's very clear that it is, as Nirja said, that already BJP has a strong women base, and this bill is going to consolidate that. Thirdly, what you asked about OBC, see, now opposition has only one instrument in their hand to break BJP narrative by raising this content for the non-giving OBC reservation within this set of reservation discrimination policy. Second option they have, that they should give a ticket to a right, appropriate, winnable women candidate who can defeat BJP women. So otherwise, narrative-wise, BJP is in lead. Is far ahead from them. Fourthly, this SC reservation thing, SC reservation within reservation for the SC women. For any reservation, for any section, you need a capacity to take benefit of that. And even among Dalits, there are only 4 or 5 castes in every state. They have acquired capacity to take benefit of any protected discrimination policy. And they are a dominant caste among them, dominant in terms of number and in terms of visibility. So here also, it will be very difficult. The main challenge before the state and before the political party is to distribute this protected discrimination policy, this reservation policy to the grassroots and expand the democracy, make it inclusive. And you can see how caste is going to play what the role with the women. So you can see the women doing caste politics. Usually, people think that women are very caste neutral; they don't do caste politics. But now you can see how Jato women will say, I am Jato, vote for me. I am Pasi, vote for me. I am Yadav, vote for me. I am Brahmin, vote for me. So it will be very interesting to see how they are going to construct narrative on the public space, not an very emancipatory womanhood, but as a caste-ridden, very traditional way of doing politics, the way male does politics. So it's not going to change in that way the political public sphere of India.
That is going to be interesting. As you said, will women change the narrative, or will they be sucked into the remaining narrative that is there and start playing caste-based politics? Javed, we discussed the flaws of the bill and all that. Then why? I'm still not, getting the need of the special session. He wanted it to be a very historic one. He said this is also the first legislation passed in the new parliament. Then why pass an incomplete legislation?
Because he wanted to reap some political benefits, like Mr. Badinai.
Will it help in the next elections, in the assembly elections in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan?
Marginally, if at all, marginally. If he had implemented it right away, he would have reaped whirlwind. But now, because it's in 29 and even in 29, there are so many ifs and buts and caveats, so the benefits that will come, we don't know. There's still a certain amount of uncertainty around that. He primarily, this is my view, I could be wrong, he primarily did this with his eyes firmly on the elections. He still doesn't have that one big issue around which you can spin the election around. You can't have a Pulwama and a Balakot every time. So he's still in search of that. And so therefore this, and as far as why this special session, look, the Prime Minister, even when he inaugurates a train via online, he does it with great fanfare. So 75 years of Amrit Kal, he wanted to pat his own back that, he's the spectacular success of G20. He has in now, for all practical purposes, actually emerged as Vishwaguru, a world leader. And then he wants, go back to what Lal Krishna Advani said of him.
Which is
that begin with a very good event manager. Everything is an event. He's turned his 75 years into an event. And if you actually go, this is not 75 years of India's parliament, because it started in 50. The first parliament in 50 elections were held in 52. The constituentism. So if you go back, if you actually go by the book, this is not 70, but he's turned it around. I've always believed, and I say this with no disrespect to him, that if the Prime Minister was a cricketer, he would have been a better spinner than Bishan Singh Bedi, because he has this unique ability to spin a positive, give everything a positive spin. Even only somebody like him could have pulled off a demonetization with all the devastation, the havoc that it, that people had to go through. Yet he gave a positive spin. He gave
spin bhi karte hain, batting bhi karte hain. He's also scoring.
Even the corona and COVID lockdowns and all those deaths, with all those vaccines, export to Africa and all that, he gave it such a positive spin. Others would have buckled under the pressure, but he didn't. So this is really with an eye on elections. He didn't think this through. I hope he had. And Badri Nayanji is saying, I have great respect for his views. This OBC factors will come up, and only a handful are they prepared to handle it. The same applies to men. You look at the composition of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, it's tilted, skewed totally in favor of upper caste. Lots of OBCs are now coming up. So if that argument had been applied there, then OBCs would never have. So you have to start. There will this process. There's a churning that you'll go through the cycle.
In fact, there is the other argument that he may be an OBC himself, the Prime Minister, but he also belongs to a Manuwadi party. So which is why this whole clause has come into it, preventing the OBC women. But that's just part of the Congress spin. I'm going to take a break and come back and keep the conversation going. I'm going to take something what Javed has said, that is the Prime Minister now in search of a big ticket issue for the next elections? Is this part of his search for an issue, which is why he brought in this bill? After a quick break. Hello and welcome back to NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We're taking a look at the Women's Reservation Bill and more about the politics and the timing of it all. So Aditi, is this part of the Prime Minister's search for a big ticket issue? Apart from Modi himself, what are the big issues that he can take to the people?
Well, I agree with Javed that this is, say, half of the big ticket issue the big idea that he's trying to float before the 2024 elections. I'm sure there will be others, and what the opposition said about the Prime Minister having, the government having a grenade, which it has tucked safely into its pocket before the special session. I think that was quite a valid issue. I'm sure we will, in my view, without speculating too much, I think that it is going to be very difficult for the BJP to win any of the elections, state elections, till 2024. And this includes Rajasthan, where I understand it's an uphill struggle. We have seen the kind of turnout in Telangana, for instance, for a Congress rally just a few days ago. And it was pretty spectacular. So if the BJP if the BJP is going on a losing spree, admittedly, in some states it does not have a government, but even in those states where it has a government, it is very unlikely to win. So in 2024, after 2024, assuming that the BJP forms a government, and I think everything points to that, I am seeing the Prime Minister being surrounded by set states which, if not actively, then passively are going to be hostile to him. That makes it very difficult to do the next generation reform, which is largely can be leveraged by the state governments, which means that whatever he has to do by way of reform, he has to do now. So
For the
anything that is,
constitutional,
so anything that is not potentially divisive, or anything that is not potentially a landmine politically, has to be done now. So that is one of the reasons why he's brought this bill now. I think going ahead in the future also, we should expect some executive reform to be announced in the coming days. I'm talking about the the policy of power sector reform, or insurance reform is almost done, all of it, and so on.
that's a good point, actually. The road ahead for the Prime Minister. How are you looking at the coming state elections, Neerja, in terms of the BJP versus the Congress?
I think the opposition stands a very good chance as of now. Certainly in Madhya Pradesh, and Congress in Madhya Pradesh, also in Chhattisgarh. In Rajasthan, the party has been reviving thanks to the social welfare schemes of Gehlot, as well as Sachin Pilot now lying very, very low. So there isn't the factionalism, overt factionalism that one had seen in the months gone by. Now, whether it's going to mean the Congress winning, that is a question mark. Telangana, what Aditi was saying, yes, when I went there 6-8 months ago, people used to say the fight is 50-50 between BRS and the BJP. Nobody talked about the Congress at all. Today, it's become BRS versus the Congress. So the Congress is picking up very, very quickly. Whether they make it is another question. So these state elections, the Congress stands a good chance of making a good showing. But whether that will translate itself into votes for the opposition in the 2024 elections, we don't know. So, it may in some areas, because people are hurting economically. Everywhere people talk about, prices. But when it comes to Narendra Modi versus India, even if they manage to get 1:1, in several constituencies and bring down the tally of the BJP by 70-80 seats, so that it's a coalition government next time round led by the BJP. I think realistically, probably the opposition is aiming for that. But the scene opens up. But having said that, you have to contend with Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi is the issue for 2024. And when people go to the booths, that is what, plays on their mind. And as the BJP themselves say, it is what are we packaging, that he's brought India to the world scene in a big way, that he promises political stability, and that he's a leader 24/7 with no family in tow. Those are the three things they think are going to be selling points for the BJP.
One quick follow-up. What is the big issue that he can bring now? Are you expecting the UCC? Are you expecting one more big issue? This is not the last big thing that you're going to take to the people, the women's bill. Neerja?
Sorry, Priya, I missed that.
Are you expecting any other big issue that he's going to come up with?
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. There'll be many rabbits out of the hat, if going by BJP's track record and Mr. Modi's track record.
And what could surprises. And what could that big issue be, Neerja, or those big issues be?
I don't know. Of course, we know the temple, we know all that, which is anyway on the cards. But
UCC.
Sorry?
The Uniform Civil Code?
Uniform Civil Code, I think, again, is an issue they've kicked down the road because of the resistance from the tribals, and they don't want to alienate the tribals. And it cannot be made Muslim specific. So I don't think uniform civil code is what they will back. But what they will come out with, one can only, speculate on. But they will certainly come out with things.
But then, Andy, what do you think they will come out with? What are the next big thing that you find that this government can come up with, apart from, of course, the Ram Mandir and all that, the Hindutva bandwagon?
First of all, Priya, I fully agree that any reservation has the same form of function, either male or the female. And democracy has a big challenge how to disseminate it. And most of the time, democracy fails in doing that. And it disseminates through trickle-down effect. What Ambedkar had a complaint against Dalit middle class, that they are not paying back to the community. So the main problem is how they are going to pay back to the community. So that's another. I have clarified what Javed has raised about the mail. The same is there also. Secondly, about the elections and all, yes, it's very tough for BJP, with all the state elections. But I think women reservation bill may provide a kind of base through which, if BJP will organize well their election campaign, they may get some benefit. That benefit may not make winnable, but they can bridge the gap. So that is one of my observation. And then I have already wrote somewhere that this election is going to be fought on two issues. One on religion, and another on poverty.
The other one?
Poverty. Garib.
Okay.
Garib may be going to emerge as a bigger issue. Where Garib Kalyan, and you will say, no, they are not doing Garib Kalyan. Hum Garib Kalyan kar rahe hain. So all claim and counter claim will be around that. Of course, women issue will come there. Of course, other issues will come there. Like Sanatan is going to emerge. I think I see that Sanatan is politics maybe also play important role in consolidation of Hindutva vote in coming elections. So they got new diction for remobilizing itself. And that new diction, I think opposition should understand that they should not give such dictions to the in the hand of BJP, because BJP is very good in carving narrative and recreating it and making them new life of the narrative for the people mobilization. So in my view,
okay.
Be on two lines.
Okay, last word, Javed. What do you think they're going to come up with? The question
No
you asked,
idea.
Neerja. No idea?
See, I've realized in my experience with this government that trying to second guess Prime Minister Modi, you always end up with egg on your face. So God knows who, but one of the things that he will certainly play up is the fact that he's the Vishkuru international leader. Mr. Biden has been extended an invitation to come for the 26th January Republic Day parade. He's already been here. I do hope that when he comes, at least this time, they will allow him to talk to the media.
On that note, Aditi, will it be economic? Will it be Mandal, Kamandal? What will be the big ticket?
Well, I tend to agree with Badri that there is going to be some very strong element of religion, because that's going to set the agenda for the next 5 years. Other sort of overall beneficial reform, the state offering people this, that, or the other, that is also going to be an element in the upcoming days, but I don't know exactly what it will be.
Okay. Well, as always, Prime Minister does what he does best. He leaves everybody guessing. But at the end of the day, has the women's bill lived up to its promise or not? I think all of us are feeling a tad disappointed that when it's come in this shape or form. We even waited so long for it. But at least the bill is there. It's become a reality. And then let's see where it goes. On that note, thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. And thank you for watching the show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.